All right, you crazy kids, it is good to see you. The reason why I'm laughing is because I never do these intros through the video. I always do a separate intro, but I'm excited for this guest. And I'm a little bit out of the loop on this one because, like I said, normally I don't do these videos. So welcome to the Strong Life Podcast. If you are new here, welcome to your first ever episode of one of the most badass podcasts out there. I'm your host and your boy, Zach Avanesh. And in the Strong Life Podcast, we talk about how to dominate in the gym and how to dominate in life, how to take those lessons from the weight room and apply them to life. And I got to tell you, being a strength coach at a high school, having my own private facility, something that's on my mind a lot is how kids will go through sports, baseball, wrestling, lacrosse, football, soccer, whatever it is. And when the sport is over, they're like common folk. They're like, you know what? I'm not going to apply that to my life. I'm just going to be like everybody else. And man, that disappoints me. And you know what that does? It's like, why would you want to go through life being average at anything? Like, it's not, I got to tell you, I tell kids all the time, it ain't cool to be lazy. It ain't cool to be rude. Never was, never will be. And today's guest is Anthony Oliveira. He has a podcast called Stay Hated Podcast. He is the owner of Anchor Athletics in New Hampshire, used to train at Westside Barbell, then I think one or two other powerlifting facilities in Ohio. And I can't wait to chat with this guy. I mean, talk about keeping it real. We're going to talk about powerlifting, being a gym owner, training athletes. We'll probably talk about music. He's got tattoos all over, including his head. And I love people who keep it real. And I first came across Anthony. I saw him on a video that was done like a little mini docu-film on Westside Barbell. I can't remember who did it. Maybe it was Spike TV or whatever that. I don't even know what the what that's called, but he was talking about he had been in prison before and how powerlifting really just saved his life. So I can't wait to bring him on. As of now, this date is May 24th. I am in the middle of the final week of launching the SSPC certification, Strength and Sports Performance Coach certification. We are crushing it. I want to crush it even more because I want coaches to see what we do, what we're doing at the Underground Strength Gym, and the way, not just the exercises, but what I share with regards to communicating with the athletes, building the business. In fact, the business bonus is a full seminar that Joe DeFranco and I did called Garage Gym Godfathers. So go to sspcoach.com. Anthony is coming on. Here we go, you crazy kids. Let's do it. Yeah, brother. You hear me?
What's up, dude?
You got me, bro. Microphone check.
I think so. Hold on. Let me just make sure I got my
You're on
my
the iPhone.
my things set up here. I'm technologically
I'm with you.
Not the greatest. So I might just go, you know what? Fuck it. We'll go no AirPods.
Whatever you're feeling. I already did a little bit of an intro, which I never do. I always do like an intro later, but I said Anthony needs a special intro. This dude's a fucking boss. We're gonna break the internet with this episode. I'm really excited to just talk about life and business and training with you and everything you got going on. So welcome aboard, my bro. And I think, were we planning to do this as like a duo podcast where it goes back, or no rules?
Yeah. So what I would love to get the audio from it and just like throw it up online, or I'll just, because I put out my podcast on Fridays. So like I might just take the link to yours and throw it up in place of where I usually put my link and just say, yo, go check out my man's.
No, I'll send you the audio. I'll send you the video, and you could use it as you wish. Like, get
Sick.
this mic going. Yeah, we are going to crush this. So Anthony, what I was saying before you hopped on is I think the first time I came across you, I saw like this mini docu-film on YouTube where they visited West Side Barbell. Do you remember that like little video that got on YouTube about like
Yeah, so it was kind of, so it's weird, man, because I wasn't that much younger then, but the way I addressed that interview would be a little different now. So
I think you said you were like in prison or you would be in prison if it wasn't for lifting. What was it?
yeah, so yeah, they said like they basically asked like what I thought about lifting type of thing. And I said, I was like, if I didn't have lifting, I'd be in jail or dead or in trouble somewhere.
Yes.
Which I think would probably be true. And yeah, I was just I was at a place where I was really feeling kind of cocky about where I was in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
So that video, a lot of people found me there and they'll reference it and it's cool. And I love it. You know, like anybody that takes the time to listen to anything I have to say or have said, I appreciate, because I think that that's really fucking cool. But I would just approach that interview a little bit less arrogant sounding, I think.
I'm just having memories.
If I'm being honest, you know what I mean? But I think that I'm grateful that I was given that opportunity to like express myself and have that piece on the internet forever for myself, like selfishly, as like a time capsule. Like I remember what I was doing for work. I remember where I was at with like my relationship with my wife. I remember, you know, I was training at Westside. I was all in. And it's just interesting to look back at that. And it's funny because a lot of people will say that that's how they kind of found out who I was or whatever. And it's funny because I'm like, basically, if you take that interview and refine it a little bit, is where I'm at now. A lot of this stuff still holds true. I just may not have been quite as arrogant as I came off, I think. But I'm very good. Like judgmental of myself. So when I look back at it, I'm like, fuck, I wish I said this. But that's how it goes when you put shit out on the internet. It's there forever, buddy.
Yeah, but you know what else? When you're caught in the moment, when you are training, your alter ego kicks in. And I got to tell you, not everybody has it unless you're really pushing for high levels. I try to teach that to the athletes. Like Louis always said, Louis Simmons never entered the gym, meaning his alter ego. You know, it could have been Louis Livingston Siegel, right? Like somebody else, whoever he thought he was. And this past weekend at Summer Strong, this young kid, Duncan, I really like this kid. He's like 23. He's just started to be a GA at Clemson, does powerlifting, strongman weightlifting. And he did squats with a belt. He was even barefoot, no knee sleeves. I think it was like 860. But his alter ego kicks in because we ate dinner the night before. And he's like, Zach, I want to thank you for, your content. I really appreciate it. I love what you do. And he's like soft spoken. Then when he was walking out to the squat rack, he became like the ultimate warrior of powerlifting. He was like summoning the gods. He was pumping his arms in the air. And then like when he was done, he gave like this quick, rhyming speech like a pro wrestler would do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I fucking love that kid. He's fucking awesome. And, what you said about kind of like a little bit regretting what you said. I don't think it's on YouTube anymore. I probably removed it, but I was having a bad day. And I was maybe a year into opening my gym. And I was recording with a flip cam. Do you remember what those were? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm recording with a flip cam. And I was curling this Ivanko curl bar that I still have. And I was loading it up. I think I had 2 plates on each side. And I was like screaming. And I'm like, you fucking looking at me. I was going nuts. I'm like dropping F-bombs, cursing at I don't even know who. I'm like cursing crazy, throwing the weights. And I don't talk about it too much, but look, if I didn't train, I don't even know if I would be alive either. Like, you have those fucking hard days. And now I train and I'm like, oh, now I train Monday through Friday and it puts me in a better mood. And I really don't know like how far downward spiral I would be if I didn't train. I'd just say that's like my iron therapy. So let's go back to me finding out about you from that video. Then I was on your podcast during the COVID time, right?
Yeah, it was like, maybe a little bit
Oh,
late into it. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So where were you? You're in New Hampshire now.
Yeah.
You left New Hampshire to go to Westside Barbell. What was you want to give us a little history?
So yeah, like a little background.
Yeah.
Like, so basically, I played college sports. I played college hockey, played hockey my whole life. I grew up like with an awesome family. My family's rad. Like, looking at me covered in tattoos and the whole thing, like, people are kind of surprised when they hear that. But like, my dad was my best man in my wedding. Like, I love my parents. They're fucking awesome. And they're very supportive. I was kind of a party animal. I kind of like, like, I used to like to get fucked up. That's what like, even when I was an athlete, that's what I was into. And I liked doing that. And I went down that rabbit hole where I found myself with a nice little drug addiction. And so this September,
like, from college
yeah,
years?
like, even like pre-college and then into college, and then after college was kind of like,
where did you go to college?
So I played at Becker College, and then I transferred to Worcester State in Massachusetts, and I played there too. But I ended up getting my degree from Southern New Hampshire University. And yeah, so I found myself with a full-blown like opiate addiction. I was 148 pounds.
Damn.
And so when I decided, like, I had, it's a big, cliche story and everything. And when I figured out that I had a problem and decided that I needed to figure my life out, it's so funny. Like, as soon as I looked at myself in the mirror, I had been cleaned up for a few weeks or whatever. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, man, I look like shit. Like, I look like skinny fat. I'm like, this is fucked up. I've been an athlete my whole life. Like, this is ridiculous. And I was like, I'm just going to start going back to the gym. And I just I started at Planet Fitness, and I dug out my old training logs from like off season from hockey. And I just started going to the gym and kind of like, you say iron therapy. And for me, it was like punishing myself. Like, I felt like I needed to, like, it was like, it's going to keep me out of trouble. But it also was one of those things where I was like, I need to, like, I've done such horrible things to like my family. I've stolen from them. I've lied. I've been a scumbag. And I like, a lot of my early training was like, I felt like I was beating the shit out of myself to move past that. Right. And it was like, probably part of that was, for training wise, was really good, because I was in the phase where I need to just get up and throw a rock until I'm tired, like we've talked about.
Yeah.
And so I would just go in there, and it was just like dumbbells until my arms were fucked up, and then upper back until my arms were fucked up, and then abs until and then I would get on, honestly, I don't think I've ever talked about this on podcast, but I would get on an elliptical at fucking Planet Fitness, and I would sprint until I was dead, and then I would rest, and then I would sprint until I was dead, and then I would rest. So I was unintentionally doing a bunch of shit, right? Kind of, You
were working. You were like beating the old shit out of your body. You're like, I'm gonna get rid of the old, like. Sometimes that's what you need to do, both physically and mentally.
Yeah, and it did push me past that point, and then I decided I wanted to get bigger and all this stuff. And then, I decided to compete in powerlifting. like I probably trained for 2 years, and like, you know, maybe 3 years, like 2.5 of those years, I was squatting 3 times a week, 5 sets of 5,
At
like
Planet
heavy.
Fitness.
So part of that, and then when I got then like right towards the end, because where I'm from, where I was training was like the original Planet Fitness, so they still had barbells.
Did you get kicked out? I mean, what?
Yeah, well, we showed up one day to train,
Yeah.
and it was literally, we were there, they were taking the barbells out. And I was like, and the dumbbells used to go up to hundreds. And then all of a sudden they took them down to like 40s. And I was like,
whoa,
what the fuck is going on? So, you know, we knew it was kind of a foo-foo gym anyway, but I didn't know shit about shit. I didn't know anything. So I was like, fuck this. Like, I can't train here anymore, obviously. So me and my buddy, we canceled our membership that day and went to this other kind of like fitness club. And I trained there, where they had like, you know, like a step above commercial gym, but nothing cool, you know, but it was enough. And I did that. And then I competed. And
where did you get your training information from back then? Prepare for powerlifting.
Yeah. So I was so at that point, my buddy was doing like starting strength, like 5x5.
Yeah.
So yeah. So basically, yeah, so basically, like I had 2 days that would alternate. So I had one day that was squat, bench, row, and then the other day was squat, deadlift, overhead press.
Yeah.
5 sets of 5. 1 week would go like, it was an A day and a B day. So 1 week would go ABA and the other week would go BAB. Up 5 pounds on everything every week.
Yeah, linear.
And, yeah, and what I did was, if I missed, let's say I was doing like 225 for squats, right? And I was supposed to get 5 sets of 5. And the last 2 sets, I only got 3 reps, right? The next time I went into the gym, I would try that same weight again. If I didn't get all the reps, I would back off 15 pounds.
Okay.
Start over and go up again. If I missed it again, once I got back to that weight, I would change the type of whatever I was doing. So if I was benching, I would go to, and I missed it, I would go to a reverse grip bench, or I would go to a close grip. And I was doing the right, again, I was like accidentally doing the right shit.
Yeah, I love it.
And it was just bro science. It was like muscle confusion, bro. Like, I don't know. I was like, I didn't know what I was fucking doing.
You actually did. You're like, all right, I'm hitting a wall here. Let me change the angle. And you went basic. That's a pretty similar to the strongest shall survive, except Bill Starr had the guys do it as a circuit. They're 3 exercises.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. And then like I went through phases where like I would be like, all right, like let's back this off and let's do 5 sets of 8 instead of 5 sets of 5.
That's fucking hard.
Yeah. And I would do that for a few months. And then my buddy sent me a link to this article that Sayat Fitness put out. That was like,
Jordan Sayat.
Yeah. And it was like basically like a conjugate for dummies type thing. And I basically was in all of the forums on Facebook. Like I was in the Cube forum. I was in the conjugate, all that shit, dude. Like, and, you know, I just I would sit down and I would nerd out and I would be like, all right, like, okay, I have this meet and it's this many weeks away. So 2 weeks out, I want to hit like 95% of what I want to do for a double. And, you know, just kind of like, I didn't know what I was fucking doing. Yeah, I just figured I'd just try it. Like,
but you dug in. You were digging in and researching and like, I'm going,
watching you. I was watching you.
Forms. Damn, that fucked it all up.
I was watching you. I was listening to like old Mark Bell. I was listening to like anything, right? So like, you know, the girl I was with at the time would be passed out in bed and I'd be up with my phone this far from my face, you know, reading or watching some old shit, whatever. And then it just kind of like evolved from there, bro. And like I, you know, started working for Brian Silfies. He invited me out to his gym. And this is one of the things that I think like you really helped me with, like before we had ever met. And I've told you this before, but I had a lot of stuff going on. There was a lot of like weird social stuff going on for me, because I was trying to figure out like how to balance like social life with training and all that shit. And so there was a lot of negativity. And I remember you made this video that was like, try and not say one negative thing today, and then see if you can do it for 2 days in a row. And it changed my fucking life. I was like, all right, like I can figure this shit out. So when Brian invited me out to just train at his gym, like as a, like whatever, you know, I asked him if I could intern there, and he said, he's like, you sure can. There's no fucking opportunity for a paid position here. Just so you know, there's no opportunity for it. I said, okay. So I was living like 45 minutes away, and I was interning there 30 hours a week.
Wow.
And then I had a full-time job.
What were you doing for work full-time?
I was construction. And then when I got laid off from there, I was working like collecting debt. I was on the phones all day, just getting my ass kicked, you know, just getting told to go fuck myself all day.
Dude, you're doing what it takes, man. And I got to tell you, I can't even give away an internship at my gym. I can't even get people to, you know, the kid that just finished, he did it for school. And ironically, he attended a seminar I did with Joe DeFranco at the gym. Then he emailed me like a week or two after saying, hey, I got to do a internship as part of my final semester of college, and I'd love to do it with you. He was from Connecticut, but otherwise I can't get kids from the local colleges. I posted up like nowhere, and then people think they're like, I don't really need to intern. I'm ready to do this, and it's like, yo, like that. You know, I remember I had a kid. He was like, I was like, all right, let's see you like coach a little bit. I mean, he couldn't control the group. Kids are doing like split squats, half reps, or their foot is too close to the bench and their knees all shitted up, not saying a word. And it was just like, you ain't ready, bro. Like, you people are fucking delusional. It's pretty complicated, I think. It's simple, it takes a lot. But yeah, it takes so much. And I have so much respect for somebody like you who says, I'm going to do this internship, and versus saying, do I get paid for it? Yeah, I'm paying you by pouring all of my brain into you. And you're driving 45 minutes each way, and you got a full-time job. Like, boom, boom, respect meter, respect. Like, you're climbing up on the respect meter.
Well, people, the funny thing is like, at the time I looked at him 2 weeks into that, and I was like, dude, I've learned more here in 2 weeks than I did getting certified. I had like some bullshit like NASM certification, right? And like whatever. And I had coached people in the past, like for hockey. I grew up coaching people, and I did like you get like certain levels of coaching and shit. So I was the youngest level 4 coach in the state of New Hampshire at 17 years old. So my dad had me do all that stuff. My dad was a coach my whole life, and a referee and stuff. So I kind of understood, like, I'm going to have to pay my dues to do this. So so 6 weeks into that internship, that I had no, he had no room for a paid position. I looked at him, I was like, what's that?
How come he didn't have room? And just for context for people listening, Brian, how do I say his last name? Silfies. His gym was called Brian Silfies 1-to-1 Fitness.
Yep.
And I had heard about it. His kind of name comes up in like great private facilities utilizing conjugate / West Side training.
Yep.
So why did he not have like
it's just the way that he ran his gym. There wasn't a position for like a paid person there. He ran it by himself. Like he didn't. Yeah. And he had like interns that would come in for the summer and stuff and kind of help. And he had, personal trainers and shit, but he didn't have time. He didn't have the money to be like, or he didn't have the desire, or it didn't fit his business model to like have a guy there every day as well as him.
Yeah.
So 6 weeks in, we were talking, and I was like, what do I have to do to work here, bro? Like how much can you afford to pay me? Can I make it work? Mm-hmm. Right. So even then, and I'll share this stuff because I don't really care. It's like, he's like, I can give you $500 a week cash.
Wow.
And that's it. And you're going to work more than 40 hours. Like you're going to work, you know?
Solid.
So
what kind of work? One-on-one or
everything? Groups? Running groups, cleaning. Like, you know, when I first got there, my first day of interning, the first thing he had me do was vacuum the turf.
That is, I gotta say, like, if people who clean, to me, that's everything. So I actually remember this one guy that wanted to intern for me. I didn't have like this internship open. His name was Tony. Awesome guy. And I said, you know what the best way to learn is? At the time, one of our coaches, he was powerlifting. I said, you could come and train with Andy. I said, but when you're done, you have to clean. I didn't tell him what to clean. He fucking vacuumed after every training session. And I brought that up. You know, he became a paid coach for me. Then he became a police officer. And when it's interesting, a lot of my coaches either go on to open their own facility, they become some form of law enforcement, police, detective, state police. The detective that came to ask me about him, I'm going to say, let me tell you something. I said, this dude cleaned. And that tells me everything about somebody. I always say if a bathroom is dirty, like it means you don't give a shit. And if you don't give a shit, everything else trickles down from there. And I bugged out on one of my coaches like a week or two ago. I came in, I train in the mornings. So let's say I came in on a Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever. He worked the night before and there's like dirt everywhere. And then the plates on the squat racks were all like slobbed up. It looked like a tornado went through. I was like, dude, how do you, it takes like 10 seconds to scan the 3 squat racks. And if there's dirt, you clean it so the next guy doesn't have to clean it. So my morning, I was vacuuming and mopping and not training. Oh, dude, I was ready to fucking take out the Uzi and start blasting people. And I think that sounds, some people feel like they're above cleaning. And it's interesting. It's an interesting parallel, I think, to life where you think you're above something, right? Like, don't tell me how to squat. I've already done, don't, I already do this, I've done this before. I think people in, especially this world lately, it's strange. Like you, God forbid, you try to have somebody do something to earn it and they are offended by it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. I distinctly remember, well, now since I bought his gym, so like now I see it every day. Right. And I remember where I was standing with the fucking vacuum cleaner. And I remember in my head having this moment of like, man, fuck, like I was annoyed that I was cleaning. And then, and
pussy.
I was like, fuck it. I was like, man, this sucks. And then I was like, well, hold on a second. I literally had this dialogue where I was like, no. This is what you have to do right now if this is what you want to do. Because I remember back then I had heard you say something about like, people think they're going to just open their doors and people are going to come into their gym, but to start small and to like do the thing where you start in your garage and kind of build it up from there. I remember
believe in that.
This is me, like me vacuuming this turf is me starting in my garage. Like I have to do this to get, it's so crazy, man, that we've, like whatever, man, I'll kiss your ass a little bit. We like, it's crazy that we've become friendly and that we text and everything, we talk, because
I love it. Yeah.
I looked up to you so much. Like when I was starting in this industry, it was like, you were more accessible because you were putting stuff out on the internet regularly. Right. You weren't like this mystery person where like, Dave Tate and Louie, they were kind of like the Sasquatch. Like you'd see him in a video and then, but like for you, you were putting stuff out and I respected it so much. I looked up to you so much because I was like, dude, this fucking guy above all ain't afraid to get down and work. And for me, it was like, since I was kind of late to the game, I mean, I was like 20, I want to say it was like 25. Yeah, like 25 when I interned at this place. Like it's a little old to be with no college degree, and I had a business degree. I didn't have, you know, a kinesiology or what, you know, right. So I was starting kind of late in the game, and I just respected you so much because you were like, I'm down to just fucking work, period. And that's what I felt like I had to do. So it kind of, and that kind of like went on from that, because I told, the first time I got into like a squat suit, I told Brian, I'm going to squat 1,000 pounds, dude. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to squat 1,000 pounds. Like, it's going to fucking happen. And I just decided that, right? And then, you know, a few months into training, I was looked at him and I was like, I'm going to train at Westside Barbell. I'm going to fucking move to Ohio and I'm going to train there. And at this point, like, I didn't even have a pro total. I had done fucking 2 powerlifting meets. I was like, I'll do whatever it takes. I don't give a fuck.
Why were you like, you had like gone down the Westside Barbell rabbit hole? You like watched all the videos and all that?
Yeah. So Brian was a Westside certified gym.
That's right. Which was like,
it was a big deal back then.
Less than 10.
Yeah, it was when I got there were 7 other ones in the world, right?
It was like Louis had to like christen you with it, right? Like he had to knight you with it.
Yeah, there was like all these, like, you had to like at least train 1 professional athlete, like 4 Division I athletes. You had to have all this equipment. You had to pass the test. And at the time, the Westside test had like an 84% failure rate. So like when Sylphie's took the test, he sent it in. Louis called him on the phone and was like, I don't like this answer. What did you mean by it? Like, literally, it was like that. So
I love that.
Yeah, it was crazy. So the first time, Brian went out there and fucking visited and all this stuff. And then he invited me to go out there and visit. And that was when I got into equipment the first time. And I just kind of went down this rabbit hole where I was like, this is the sickest shit I've ever seen in my life. Like, it looks like it's like high octane, crazy motherfuckers lifting huge weights. And people can say whatever they want about equipped lifting. That's neither here nor there. And I'm not here to debate that. I love equipped powerlifting and I don't really care if people like it or not. For me, I saw that shit and I was like, let's fucking go. Like, I'm in, like, just talking about it, you can tell, like, I love it. So
yeah, you want to train.
Exactly. Like, I'm sitting here thinking about I'm gonna bench tomorrow and everything. So I'm like,
I'm like that too. I'm thinking about the training days out. Yeah, I always tell athletes, I'm like, yo, we might squat on Monday, but if you ain't thinking about that shit on Friday night, you know how, like, you're not gonna be a killing machine. You need to be thinking about it. And you know, I always share the crazy story of me squatting 225 for 50 reps. And they were like, oh man, how did you do it? I was like, I had played the movie in my head for at least a month. Like, everywhere I went, like, I was just visualizing and breaking down the numbers of how I'm going to get to it. Like, okay, you'll bang out 25 reps, then you'll do, you know, 10 and then 10 and then 5. And, you know, like, you got, see, you said something earlier, and I feel like you got to be, you're saying like your girlfriend's asleep and you're looking at videos. I think if you want to be great at coaching, great at training, at a sport, you need to be obsessed. I said great, not 100%. Good. You want to be good, you got to be talented. You got to be strong, but nothing crazy. You could fuck around a little bit. You got to be in shape, but nothing crazy. You could screw around a little bit. But if you want to dominate and fucking kill people at whatever you do, whether it's business or being, you know, a hairdresser or whatever, you need to be obsessed. You have to push the envelopes. You have to like push so hard that you break yourself down. Like, whoa, I didn't realize I just worked 2 days in a row. Oh, I forgot to go to bed. Yeah, you need to get to that level of craziness, or you're just going to be good. And some people are happy with being good. And I say to them, hey, we need you to be good. You know why? There's fucking one person gets to stand on the first place podium. I can't be sharing it with you, except in the Olympics, you share the third place thing, which is crazy now, right? Like, tie. And this world has gotten crazy, right? I think about those things. I'm like, there's a fucking tie in the Olympics. They can't do anything to settle that tie. There's no way two people are happy to take third.
No, fuck that. Well,
Yeah.
the difference is, I think the big difference, you're saying you've got to like between good and great, right? It's like, that's the difference between I wanna and I'm gonna.
Boom.
That's
Boom.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. Like we just, we moved cross country this, and we moved back home. It's way more expensive in New England than it is in Ohio. We bought this fucking gym, and self-employed trying to get loans. You know what that's about. It's a fucking shit show. And what I've been telling everybody, my family is just like, oh, they're so proud of us and all this stuff. And my thing is like, man, like, I'm a motherfucker. And what I want to do, I'm going to fucking do it. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to make it happen. And when it came to squatting big weights, it's like, like they told me I wouldn't play anything past high school hockey because I'm only 5'9" and I'm a goalie, right? Played juniors. They said in juniors I wouldn't play in college. Sweet. Played in fucking college. Like they said I'd never make, I wouldn't be able to get work because I've got big holes in my ears and tattoos all over me. Fuck that. I got good job. I had good jobs. I fucking worked my whole life. Like, I wanted a beautiful wife. Boom, got it. Wanted to squat 1,000 pounds. Boom, got it. Like, and it's not because it was handed. It was because it was like, it wasn't, I want to do this. It was like, no, I'm going to have a beautiful wife. I'm going to have a big total. I'm going to have a sick job. I'm not going to work a job that I fucking hate. It's not happening. Like, and I think that, for every story like that, there's 100,000 stories of people who say that shit and don't follow through with it. But I refuse to be that guy. I just couldn't see myself like not making this fucking happen. So with all this stuff, it was like, man, like I spent like 3 months or 2 months on the phone with banks, pulling my fucking hair out, figuring out how the fuck we were going to make this shit work. And when it came down to it, like, we made it happen because we did all this extra shit, made all this stuff happen. And that doesn't happen with someone who just says like, I kind of like Corey Gregory. He says, I don't just kind of want it.
Exactly. Dude, everything you say is what I kind of embodies when I, the Strong Life podcast, because when I was younger, I saw some guys in the gym, they were like killing it in the gym. But outside of the gym, as I got older, they'd be like, Zach, yeah, I lost my job. Like, I'm getting divorced. I'm going to fucking jump off the top of my building. And I'm like, man, this is the most jacked dude in the gym. Why can't he just take that shit and apply it to his life? Like, where's the missing link? And then also, I get it. Kids today don't get to go to a gym and get mentored like I did when I was younger, because they all put the AirPods in. Nobody's conversing with each other. But I don't recall like, being at the gym and then, my training partner's like, how many are you going to get? I think I'm going to get 4. Think, what the fuck are you doing here? If you wanted to train with me, I wanted to like, if you said you're doing 5, now you're doing 7, you're going to fucking do 10. And even like, I remember sometimes a guy would like come with us to the gym. It was almost like 30 minutes away and he didn't want to pay for gas. So I was always driving. So I was like, didn't have the balls to tell him like, yo, you drive. So I was like, all right. Every time he did a set, I spotted him. So it was like, go to failure, then forced reps. Then if he was sitting down, I'd be like, there's no time to sit down, get up. And I remember my training partner, we were training so hard, he threw up during a shoulder workout. I was like, oh, fucking destroy everybody. And
I love that.
I love it too.
I love that shit. You have to go there, because I think also like what you were saying, like you got the guy in the gym who's super jacked, but his life outside of the gym is fucked. And it's like, there's 2 points to that. The first thing is like, this is another thing that Corey Gregory said to me that really stuck with me. He's like, there's not too many long-term successful people that have a chaotic home life. You kind of have to have some sort of like baseline for that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you're outside of the gym, shit is fucked up. Like, we all know that athlete that like shows up, forgets his shoes, he's failing biology. His girlfriend's fucking his buddy. He's all fucked up about it. And he's still a pretty good athlete. And it's like, man, imagine how good you would be if you just went home, ate chicken and rice, watched some TV, read a book, and went to bed. You'd be so much better, right? So there's that aspect of it. And then the other aspect of it is like, man, like going to the gym and doing anything gym related, like, is fucking easy. Like that, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that is fucking easy. It's not hard to go. Of course, dude, how easy is it to be like, I'm going to fucking squat today and I'm going to crush it. It's like, that's easy. That's the fun part. The hard part is
they
like,
make it everybody has like, they complicate stuff and
that's
fuck
the
it
easy
up.
part.
Yeah.
It's fun. The hard part is saying, okay, what's the appropriate amount of sleep that I need, or what's the appropriate amount of time that I need to prepare myself physically to do this workout? What do I need to like it's not fun to do abs. It's fun to squat big weights. It's not fun to do abs and reverse hypers, period. It's not fucking fun, but you need to do that shit that sucks to do the other thing. Like, it's not fun having an open emotional dialogue with your wife. However, it's fun to have a good relationship with your wife.
Yeah.
So you have to do these things that are not necessarily, it's like, yeah, man, it's fucking easy to sit there and say like, yeah, man, like I want to make all this fucking money and I want to work this job and I want to do this stuff and whatever. And it's like, yeah, that's great. But like, how many books did you read this year? Are you willing to do that shit?
Yeah.
Because it's like, you want to be this top 10, 5% of people. So that means you have to do more than 95% of people if you want to be up here.
You know what I talk about, I haven't been to a Broadway show for a long time, but I went to a Broadway show with my wife, and I remember thinking to myself, like, man, I think before they actually do the first Broadway show, it's like a year of this behind the scenes work happening. And then the Broadway show is an hour and 30 minutes. So they are doing like these years of work, even before they're doing the Broadway behind the scenes work to do that. And I call it pieces of the puzzle. So, piece of the puzzle is training. Another piece of the puzzle is nutrition, and then sleep, and then your social circle. Who are you surrounded with? And then your virtual circle. What information do you consume? So do you consume negative information on the internet, or negative books, the negative news, and all of these pieces of the puzzle, right? I could have 100%. A certain piece of the puzzle might be a greater percent. So if I have negative friends, maybe it's not 5%. That might chop me down to like 80% right away. And I got to admit, I watch things, especially with athletics, catch up on kids. Like, okay, you only want to train in the off season. Well, you're going to be very successful until you meet somebody who's year round training, or you're really good, but you don't like to squat heavy. And that is like, your legs are not strong. You only want to squat light. And then all of a sudden you go against like somebody who's just a gangbuster, who's stronger than you. And it's like, eventually you meet your match. And one thing I'll never be able to relate to is people who don't care about losing. Like, they just,
fuck that.
Exactly. Yo, that is, the man in the arena. He's like, so, those cold and timid souls. Like, I tell them, man, I want to throw up in my mouth when I see that kind of attitude, because even if you're not maybe succeeding or achieving, I think I want to know your work ethic. I don't want to hear lazy and successful. Eventually, eventually that working person climbs and surpasses the non-worker. And so I struggle relating to the non-workers. Let me ask you a question, Ant, like going to, I'm sure a lot of people ask you about West Side.
Yeah.
And man, what's interesting is I had told my buddy John, who did the last podcast with Louis for Power Athlete. I said, man, I think Louis died of a broken heart. Like he had West Side Barbell, and he had kind of like those guys, they were all dominating his identity. His whole life was tied to the gym. And then when guys started to splinter off and do their own thing, it broke his heart, almost like somebody cheating on you or stealing from you. It breaks your heart.
Yeah.
And you actually feel it in your heart. You like feel it. You're like, man, why does my heart and stomach actually hurt? And through those last few years, he's having to pay people to come to the gym. Whereas think about you're 45 minutes from Brian, you're not going to get paid, and you're working full time, and you do it. Well, guess what? There's people 5 minutes away that won't intern and want to get paid, and want to get paid for not showing up. And that's the same thing that I felt is happening in, whether it's strength and conditioning facilities, West Side Barbell, even in colleges, well, it's too far away, or it's too hard, or the coach doesn't like me. There's so much like seeking of comfort, when it's like nothing good in my life happened through comfort. That doesn't mean sometimes comfort is a good thing. You need it. You need that downtime. You need to give the brain and body a recharge. It makes you creative. You come back stronger. But as I'm older, I'm like really having to push myself to get stronger. And I'll train in the morning. And like then today I'm at the high school and I'm like, all right, you got to get stronger, get 3 more sets of push downs and 3 more sets of cable rows, or your legs aren't strong. Do your back extensions, more leg curls, or maybe I squatted and I'll be like, all right, the kids are deadlifting, jump in and do speed deadlifts with their weight and get fucking faster. And so I catch myself doing like these mini workouts that Louis would speak about way back in the day, that I don't know, I didn't really apply them. Maybe because I was younger or whatnot. But now that I'm older, I'm like, man, my body needs more work to remain durable. It needs more work. And I, sometimes being smart, you get so experienced, I've overthought stuff like, oh no, don't pull out that big tire, or don't go too heavy, or 5 sets of 5 too much. Just do 5 sets of 3, make it optimal. And, I'm overthinking things. And lately I've caught myself, I got these workouts here that I call them prison Thursdays at my school. I tell the kids, don't be fucking telling your parents I said prison Thursday, So the football team trains Monday through Thursday, right? The coach always did that. So we do like an upper, a lower, and a full body, or a lower, upper, and full body. So I was like, by Thursday, they're smashed. So would do a lot of arms. Then I started kind of like thinking about what guys did in prison, 250 push-ups, 100 pull-ups, 100 squats, a lot of sprinting. So I started doing lots of calisthenics, carries, arms, high volume arms, 100 curls, 200 triceps, 200 shrugs, and then I like make stories out of it. So I'll be like, today we're going to train the back arms. So, hey, Sean, if you're ever in prison, don't ever say who's doing triceps. You say we're doing back arms today. Then the kids are laughing, so it's like rough shit. So like I print them out, and then I put like a quote up. But let's see, I'm going to pull one out. I'm going to pull one up for you. Let's see what we got. This one was like a team challenge. So it was like groups of 4, different grades, and you had 5 minutes. So what's your total push-ups in 5 minutes? Then it was what's total pull-ups or recline row, then total barbell curl. And if you were like, if you had like big guys, you had to put like a quarter on there, light guys a 10. Then it was like a medicine ball, heavy med ball relay run. So like 80, 60, 40. They had to run it around a field, but pass it every 50 feet. Shoulder, med ball shouldering. It's like I look at some of the stuff, it's like high volume. This one's a good one. Push-ups, 100 total. You can't, you got to do 100 push-ups, Then you got to do 80 pull-ups, no, 80 recline row or 50 pull-ups. You can't mix them up. Then you're going to do Zercher squats. And I would give them the story of like, you know, they would squat in prison. There was no squat rack. So they lift the weight off the ground, 100, work up to a 3-rep max, then 100 shrugs, 100 dumbbell bench, 100 push downs, 100 curls. I just started pushing the kids, saying like, I'm done with this perfection training, you know, and it gets real busy in the weight room. So now I'll say, normally we sneak in band pull aparts and side planks and hanging leg raises. I go, you know what else we're sneaking in? Tire flips. So now before the end of the day, you got to get a total of 20 reps. So every 7 or 8 minutes, you got to get outside and do like 3 to 5 tire flips. So now I see just everybody pushing limits instead of me so perfect. And it reminds me of like those stories I heard, like Chuck Vogelpool would try to like break people that trained with him. And then I also remember what it was like to be 15, 16, 17. And I would squat for an hour. Like, I'm like, these kids are capable and I'm going to build them up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to hear about some of your kind of crazy, whether shit you did or stuff you did for other people to help them break through.
Yeah. So a lot of that stuff, like when I got to Westside, well, first of all, you spoke about comfort. And I do have like a cliche story. When I moved to Westside, or when I moved to Ohio, I moved to Ohio with $600, no place to live except for a dude's couch, and everything that I could fit in my Prius. And that's it. And like I said, dude, I'm a motherfucker. Like in a month, I had my own apartment and a job that I was making decent money working construction. Like I don't fuck around. Like I was like, I got to make this happen.
For a manual labor job when you have a business degree. I'm shocked you didn't say like, let me like, I don't know, work at a bank or something.
Well, I got approved. Well, it's hard to go to a bank when you got a throat tattoo and fucking hand tattoos and shit. So I actually I got a job at Kohl's. And when I fucking came home or came back to this dude's house from getting offered that job, there was a guy working construction there. And I was sitting there talking to him and he's like, fuck that. Why don't you can you swing a hammer and read a tape measure? And I was like, guys, you should come work for me. And I was like, fuck this. I'm doing this. Cause it's harder labor, but it just fit what I wanted to do. Like it fit better. I'm like, fuck this. I'd rather put on work boots and go outside and do that shit, and be kind of rugged. And I think it kind of helped me in the gym. If at first it fucked me up a little bit because it was a lot, but then I got used to it and it was fine. But yeah, I mean, like the shit that I saw at Westside, I mean, one time, Louis, talk about getting the most out of somebody. So this pissed me off. So I was doing triples for like speed work, right? It was a bow bar, 6 plates, 200 and chain. And I was doing sets of 3. And Lou comes over to me and he's like, why are you doing sets of 3? Like, why aren't you doing sets of 5? And I was like, well, fucking all your literature that you ever put out never said anything about sets of 5. So I'm doing fucking triples like you always wrote about and whatever. So he goes, well, I guess some guys want to work hard and some guys don't. And I'm like, so to me, like that is
awesome.
That drove me up the fucking wall. So I have a video on my phone. I have a video on my phone from when I was training there. You can't see Louis. He's like standing in front of me, but like probably 20 feet, right?
Yeah.
So I look at the guy running the monolift and I go, 6. That's all I said, like 6. I'd been doing sets of 3. It was my last set. Mm-hmm. So I do a set of 3 and I kind of squat with my head up. And I do the set of 3. And then after I do a set of 3, I just lowered my head and I fucking stared him in the eye and I did 3 more. So I did a set of 6.
Yeah.
And then I slammed the weight in the rack and the video cuts up and I'm like, motherfucker. Like I just started yelling.
Yeah.
To give it to him. And I was pissed. But at the time, it was like him getting the most out of it. And then listen, like, Louis passed. And when people pass, people turn him into a martyr and everything else. And that they're an angel and a saint all of a sudden. Listen, Louis wasn't a saint, but he did a lot for me. And we didn't get along ever. Louis and me never got along. It was always an issue. But I haven't spoken on the Louis thing since he passed. I haven't posted about it. I haven't said anything because it's a very conflicting thing for me, because without him, I would be missing a lot of things from my life, but he never really treated me well personally. We always had issues. So it's a very conflicting thing. But I remember another time, this fucking guy, I was like, we're sitting at breakfast and he's like, what are you going to do today? And I was like, and at this time I had already kind of like branched off from the group and kind of was I was like kind of a rogue wolf at this point. I was fucking having a hard time.
Training at West Side alone?
Yeah, I was kind of like, I became kind of the black sheep. He couldn't fucking stand me. It was tough, right? So a lot of this stuff is, I haven't shared a lot of it, and a lot of it I keep pretty close to the chest. But so he's like, what are you going to do today? And I was like, I'm going to do a rack pull. And at that point, Louis was obsessed with deficit pulls. So rack pull was the fucking complete opposite of what he wanted us to be doing. Yeah. But I was seeing some success from it. So I was like, I'm going to do a rack pull. And he's like, you should do a 4-inch deficit pull. And I was like, Louis, what am I going to do with a 4-inch deficit pull? I'm going to go in there, pull 600 pounds, be done with it. And then what the fuck? And then he goes, you're not going to pull 600 pounds. And I was like, fuck this. So of course, I go in there, do the 4-inch deficit pull. I have another video of this. Pull 600, and it was hard. Pull 600, slam it down, and motherfucker, start yelling at him again. And then I realized, like, he fucking got me. He, like, you know what I mean? Like, he got me to do the thing I didn't want to do. And there was always stories like that where he'd push me past, like, we were doing reverse hypers one time, and he's like, we were doing them with a foam pad between our knees. So you're squeezing the foam pad and doing a reverse hyper. Okay. Buddy, you should give it a whirl.
That's brutal.
So you get like a crazy adductor pump, and like your low back gets lit up in this like weird way. I don't know what the science is behind it, but anyway, he's like, oh yeah, we do sets of 30 and all this stuff, and he's saying all this stuff. And he's like, there's no way you could do that. So I end up getting up there and doing a fucking set of 50 on the reverse hyper there that has the two 100-pound plates welded to it, and it's hung from a chain so it can swing in every direction. Around. Yeah. It was fucked. But I got up there, I do a set of 50. And at the whole time, I'm like, every rep, I'm like, fuck you. Like, but I did it. And it's like one of those things where I didn't agree with a lot of things that he did and a lot of the actions that he had, but he squeezed every fucking ounce out of, in his way, to the best of his ability. He squeezed every ounce out of everyone he could. Right. And, he told me that I wouldn't ever go over. I totaled 2360 or 2350, and he said I wouldn't go over that. He said I was done. He's like, you'll never total more than that. And I've totaled 2505 since. And I think that part of that is because that first 2500 was because I went from 2364 to 2500. I skipped 2400. I went right through
like a 200-pound jump.
Yeah, and I was like, and that was a fuck you, and even though at the time I wasn't training there, it was like he somehow got that out of me. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, it's interesting that, so he'll say whatever, you can't do it, you get fired up. You know what happens today if I say this to an athlete? They just will not show up. They'll be like, he's mean, he's a dick. And it's like, yeah, because today what I said to the kids is, if you play hockey, football, if you wrestle, even play soccer, lacrosse, I said, do you think anybody in those sports has ever broken a back, broken their neck, gotten paralyzed? They said, yeah. I go, that's right. Every one of those sports. So I said, if I don't push you, now you're a liability. And guess what? Somebody's training to kick your ass. And the, extreme end result is people have died in these sports. So when I challenge you to jump higher, to lift heavier, it's because I'm preparing you. And stop getting emotional. And that's, and look, I look back to when I was in high school, my coaches were, I always say they were ahead of their time. My coaches were college wrestlers. One of them was not, but was very successful high school guy, really tough dude. I wasn't ready. I wasn't responsive, but also back then you didn't get these deep conversations. Now I converse with the kids a lot. Yeah. But I think, you were old enough to be like, no, man, I fucking decide what I can and can't do. Nobody gets to tell me what I'm lifting. And then it fires you up and you utilize it to fuel you. Whereas other people utilize it as an excuse. He said, I can't. So I'm just not, it's like this baby bullshit. And adults do it too. They turn into little whiny bitches.
It gives them a reason. It gives them the ability, because if you say I can't do something and then I don't, and then I go, oh, you're right, I can't do it. Well, then I can put the onus on you because you told me I couldn't. And then it's not on me, and I can be a little pussy about it. But I'll tell you another story that's really, so after, we had left Westside, we're training at Doghouse, and
who owns Doghouse, by the way? Like I've heard of Doghouse.
A guy named Jimmy Harris. He's the best. He's the best dude. It's an awesome fucking gym, man. Like we night crew train there, like, me and Hoff and Kovac and the whole group of everybody. Right. So we had this guy in our group, and we call him DB, and he's like, he's a farm boy. He's he's not a great lifter, but he's like one of the best training partners I ever fucking had.
Yeah.
Right.
What's a good training partner? What does he do?
So he's a little older than me, a couple years older than me. We were doing a conventional deadlift max, right? And we never do that really off the floor. It was just a weird day, right? So I go to pull whatever it is, and it's going. It gets right before lockout, and I think it stopped moving, and I drop it, right? And he just like barely even looked at me, and he's just like, got a lot of quit in you, don't you?
And I was one-liners.
Fuck this. I was so mad about it, but I sat there and I don't really, if I miss a weight, I very rarely will take it again.
I love that one-liner. Damn, got a lot of quit in you, don't. Oh,
dude, I was fucking pissed, but he's a good friend. I mean, dude, we probably have played 15 rounds of golf together. Like, I love the guy, right? Yeah. But I was fucking hot, man. I was pissed. And so I'm like, everybody goes, I'm like, give it to me again. I'll take it again. You can't really it's a conventional deadlift off the floor. Like, there's nothing really technical about it. Like, you just got to bulldog up, right?
Yes.
So I go and I pull it and I get it and I slam it down. And they got these big, at Doghouse, the backside has like these big garage doors, and they're open in the summer and stuff. The deadlift platform's right there. So I get it and I pull it and I slam it down and I just start screaming. And I was like, I walk out. I was like, you don't fucking beat me. I beat me, motherfucker. Like,
yes.
Like, losing my fucking mind but I shot him a text later, like, thank you. I needed that. I needed someone to say that to me, because it was like one of those moments where it's like, you either shit or get off the pot. Like, stop being a little pussy. Like, you stopped pulling. The bar was still moving and you fucking stopped. Yeah. And it was like one of those things where, like, you kind of figure out that you're not made of glass. Like, you're like, I'm just going to go. And it was like, I'm walking up to this thing, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm pulling this, right? And it's like having that moment and having those little things that he did. And I'll tell you another story real quick. We were at WPO Super Finals in 2020. And I had lost a coach that I played junior hockey for. His name was Ryan Frew, and he died. He was like 42 when he died. And it really like deeply affected me. For whatever reason, that coach, he was a young coach when I played for him, and we had talked a lot. And it's like that relationship between a young man and his coach is it's unique. You can't, you know what I mean? And so it had fucked me up, like, you know, for a while. And that meet prep was really kind of emotional for me. I kind of like dedicated that meet prep to him. And I started using this hashtag for Fru, because his last name was Fru. So I started like for Fru, like this is for him, right? So in powerlifting, you know, whatever, you get 3 attempts to get something. And if you don't get it one, you bomb out. Like that's it, right? So I missed my first 2 benches. And I'm pretty well known as like not a great bench presser. And so I'm sitting there and my hand's in the chalk bowl and I'm putting my wrist straps on and I'm just like feeling sorry for myself, like coming up with reasons where like, it's like, okay, maybe I can sneak into a meet in a couple weeks and make up for this when I bomb out. If I did it, I like doing that thing. And I'm walking up and they say, you know, bars loaded or whatever. And I just hear him. He's behind me. He's probably the same guy, DB. He's probably 15 feet behind me. And he just goes, this one's for Fru. And dude, I got like goosebumps talking about it. Like I hadn't felt that like visceral, like fire, emotional, like, and I was just like, I don't give a fuck. Like in my head, I was like, you will break your arm before you fucking miss this. Like, you're not fucking missing this. So I go out there, I end up getting it. And I end up placing 3rd at WPO, which was like, you know, I get to be on the platform with Hoff and all that stuff. And like, you know, based on the talent of lifters there, like I didn't necessarily deserve to be on the platform. A bunch of guys bombed out. I happened to go, they dropped the ball and I carried it in for a touchdown. Whatever, say what you will, I got a fucking WPO medal. And so it was another case of like a training partner who knew that thing to say or to do that would push you over the edge to push you to that next level. Either physically, like you're saying, you're going to make that guy do squats until he fucking pukes or shoulder workout till he fucking pukes. That's a physical aspect of it, right? And that is very important. And then on the other side of things, it's like that other thing where they know that one thing to say to you that's just like, that pushes you, that elevates you to that next level that you needed to get to mentally or emotionally or whatever. And like, I think that is something that's kind of lost now with like the training partner, because people are sensitive.
Yes.
And whatever, you know, I think that being able to bust balls and push people in that way and push their fucking buttons is kind of lost. And this guy just nailed DB, like is the fucking man. And that those are like just a couple stories of people who like elevated me in the moment and just said the perfect fucking thing to make me be like, I'm a fucking juggernaut. Like you can't stop me right now. And I really appreciate, I'll never forget those moments. I'll carry those with me for fucking ever.
You know, with all these lessons and experiences you've had, now that you own a gym, you purchased a gym, it's called Anchor Athletics. Athletes are training there, correct?
Yeah. It's about 70% athletes, 20% like gym goers, and then like 10% powerlifters.
So how are you working with the athletes, or do you have another? So
yeah,
how are you utilizing all these kind of experiences and lessons to be a great coach for them?
Well, so it's me and my wife. We're both, me and Val are both doing it. And it's one of those things, right, where like you create a culture where it's like knowing that different people need different things, right? But at the end of the day, it's up to them. So I'll say that shit to them, just be like, motherfucker, my squat's fine. And I know that's fine. I'm not worried about my numbers, dude. I'm worried about yours. And if you're not worried about it, then you can keep doing the same fucking bullshit you're doing. You know what I mean? Like utilizing the small little things, and then also recognizing that like you can sit there and say like, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to be your coach, right? Like I'm here to get you better. And I've said to kids, you know, like, do you want me to coach you, or do you just want to come in here and work out? It's up to you. Your parents pay me to coach you.
Yes.
If you say to me, you just want to come here and work out, then that's fine. But do not say a fucking word to me if you aren't playing, if your coach stops playing you, all that stuff, right? So it's like, I try to take my experiences, and like, I've had a lot of bad coaches in my life, and I've had a handful of good coaches, and I just try to like utilize all of it. Like, there's something about being like a 15, 16-year-old kid that's an athlete that they don't really know where they fit in the world yet. They think they're a man. They think that they're grown. They're not. But there's that level of competitiveness that like the young men have, and the young women, that you can draw out of them by having a good relationship with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like the idea of having like the closed door shit that some coaches have, where it's like, you fucking do what I say because I say so.
Today, that'll never work. I mean, 1 in a million kids is going to be like a cyborg Terminator ready for that. Most of the kids need this, like, did they know you care? I've had those conversations that you're talking about, like being kind of cutthroat with them. I've had a lot recently. I had to say to a group, I said, listen, make no mistake about it. I am here and training you to be winners. And that takes boom, boom, boom. And if you don't want to do that, we need to talk with your parents, because I cannot take their money if you're not a worker. That's always been a real thing with me. Like, other business owners will be like, Zach, take the money. I will not. That, to me, that's dirty money. If the kid is not a worker, I'm not accepting the money. Or if the kid is like, I want to kind of train with my friends, that's it. You crossed over that line. You're already thinking about it. I don't even want you in here anymore, because you're not all in.
It's a change in culture too. Like one bad thing is that, so we're on this shit right now where like we've been kind of loose about like cell phones.
Oh yeah, that's
right. So it's an issue, right? So and I want to be. I make a lot of my money online, so I have to be on my phone, like my computer's out, stuff like that.
Yes.
And but now it's like you shift the culture, right? So I'm not going to be the guy who says like your phones go in the box. You're like, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to micromanage. So what I've started doing is like, if I see someone on their phone, I'm just like, hey, who's the fucking nerd on their phone in the gym? You're a fucking dork, dude. What are you doing? Who are you texting? Are they working out? What are you doing? Like
you're so disconnected when you're on your phone. The kids put their phones at like water bottles and phones on this like desk when you enter my gym. And then one time a kid was like touching his phone constantly. And I was like, dude, you're checked out. You don't want it. He's like, I'm talking to my mom. I'm like 15 times in the past 45 minutes. I was like, is everything all right? Because if you got to text your mom, then you got to go. One kid came to the gym a week or two ago, remembered his phone charger, forgot his water, asks me for water. I say, no, fucking remember your charger. You want water? You could handle an hour of training without water. I went through wrestling practices, 2.5 to 3 hours, no water, losing 7 or 8 pounds, but even, we'll take my son to baseball, and how fucking hard is that? And it'll be like an hour. My wife's like, oh my God, get him Gatorade. He forgot it. I'm like, no, be thirsty. And just, I think
you got to learn those lessons though.
And that's like a weak lesson, but you got to sometimes, we're in this like world where we're on eggshells with kids, where you got to say, yo, you're on your fucking phone. You're checked out. Are you a great training partner now? How great is your training session? I took my daughter a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, to a chiropractor, and she was getting like stim done and all this stuff. And this other kid was on his foam roller, nonstop on his phone, completely disconnected. Then when I went to physical therapy for my knee, a dude had ACL repair. He's on this like horizontal leg press on his phone. I wanted to just stop and say, yo, you'll never get better that way. I just wanted to fucking tell him,
Yeah.
you know, and you got to do that shit because, to me, I feel like I hate training and recording. I do. I really do.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Like, Colin was my intern. He's gone. It was great when he was there. Today I was training. I'm setting up my camera on a tripod. People love to see it. They want to see it. It allows me to share information, but it does take away that special moment of just you and the weights. It
Yeah.
really does.
It's difficult. And we've talked about this a little bit,
Yes.
through text and stuff. It's hard to like get there where it's like, do I bend? I had a good podcast with Bryce Krotchick, and we talked about it's like, do I bend to the sort of like whimsical nature of like what's popular right now? Or do I stick to my guns and say like, I'm not recording shit. I'm going to fucking, and it's like, I don't really like following other people's orders when it comes to shit. But if you want to be relevant, if you want to get your information out, if you want people to hear you, if you want to like, dude, when it comes down to it, like if you're trying to get the bag, dude, like I'm not ashamed to say like, I want to make money, motherfucker. Like I'm not trying to
let's go.
Fuck it, dude. Like there's nothing wrong with saying I want to make money. It's like in the fitness industry, it's kind of like shunned. If you like say you want to make money, it's like you're a sleaze bag. It's like, no, motherfucker, I put my whole life into this. Like, yeah, I want to make
then
money.
You could help more people. Like if I make more money, I could hire a videographer to hook you up with more free stuff. And by the way, like all these like shopping carts and newsletter things, they cost me hundreds of dollars a month. Shit ain't cheap. And so when people support your podcast, they buy your shirts, they buy your online programming, same thing with me. It allows me to make the business better. And yes, I have internally and even, vocally struggled with recording stuff, and okay, it's not greatly edited, but that's the game. And I really, I shared that article that was shared with me from Mark Divine about like the wolf that you feed. And it's like, how you made money 15 years ago, it doesn't work anymore. And you have to come to terms with that. And you have to change the way you do business. He said stuff like, you got to focus on building a team. You can't make money the priority. And it was real, I'll have to go back and dig into it again, but I don't know why, but that finally hit home for me. And I was like, man, I got to get my boy Samson down here to record videos, high quality stuff, get it on the YouTube, because if I do my own recording and there's no editing and different angles, the videos I don't impact and reach people. And that is the game, and Matt Wenning gets very frustrated. And I'm like, Matt, your videos are getting like 170 to 200 comments. My videos get 1 comment, 2 comments. So I was like, if you're frustrated, can you imagine how I feel, being in this for so long? I'm smarter than I ever was, but impact wise, I would say I'm quote less successful because I'm not impacting as many. So that's a tough thing, from as a business owner. And even guys like us who totally understand that strength is so crucial. The common person looking for, strength and conditioning is looking for speed. And they don't understand that speed is, I always tell kids, I go, have you ever watched a lacrosse player, a football player, and be like, thank God he's so weak, because that's why he's killing everybody. He's so weak. I go, you never say that. He's a fucking tank. You never said, thank God he's so weak, or I'm so happy that she's so weak. We need more weak people on our team. You girls never say that. So strength and then speed training through jumps and dynamic effort work, and also sprinting. But guess what? Strength is like viewed very wrongly by people because common people don't understand. You know, when a recent dad reached out to me, his son, by the way, hockey player, he said, my son needs core strength and speed and agility. You know, back in the day, I would be like, fuck that core strength. Don't fucking use that nerd word with me. You know, I get all crazy about it. Now I'm just like, absolutely. Because when they say core strength, what they mean is full body strength, build coordination. They don't really know what they're saying, you know?
They're saying buzzwords.
They're saying buzzwords. But, and by the way, dude, you know, speaking of hockey, a little quiz for you, Anthony. Tell me you've watched the movie Youngblood.
Dude, please.
Okay, I'm just making sure because I was about to delete this whole podcast.
Please. You know what's so funny is we couldn't find it anywhere online.
Really?
And my wife had never seen it. And so she had to like order it from some weirdo website, get this DVD that's like, you know, and I remember, I can picture, you know, it's so funny. I can picture VHS. I can picture the VHS with my dad's handwriting on the little tag.
That's right.
That's Youngblood. Oh. And he never let me watch the sex scenes.
Dude, I can't believe it's not like the full thing's not pirated on YouTube yet.
Well, you can get like little clips that are like, there's a clip where it's so funny because it falls into like, it gets me fired up. He's like, when he comes back, he quits the team and he's hurt and his brother yells at him and all this shit. And he's just like, they wouldn't let me play with one fucking eye. I begged them to play, you pussy, and all this shit. And I'm like, God, it gets me so jacked up.
I'm watching it. I'm going to fucking find that in the morning. I'm going to watch that shit and fucking kill.
It gets me super pumped. It's funny, man. Like the internet stuff and the buzzwords and all this shit. And it's like you said, man, no one's ever said, man, I'm so happy that we have such a weak player on our team. Mm-hmm. Like you know what I mean? That's never going to happen. And I think it's Dave Tate said, it's like the only thing that could maybe be, you know, misconstrued into like strength being a negative thing would be like flexibility. But if you're doing full range of motion stuff and you're still practicing your sport, like if you have a wrestler and he's doing all strength and speed training, right, and not doing any sort of mobility work, but he's still rolling and he's still going on the mats every time, he's gonna be fine.
That's the best flexibility work is.
He's gonna be fine.
100%, man.
Adapt the guy, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I love it.
So yeah, I mean, I think that shit's like really funny to look at as far as like what people think they need, and it's like what you know they need, like, you know what I mean? It's very interesting, especially with parents. I remember you had a thing. This is another thing that you probably forgot you fucking made this video, or it was on a podcast somewhere so long ago. You said that, like, you know, parents would come and watch and you didn't really want them to watch.
Yeah.
And so your daughter had like some like tennis thing where it was like mommy and daughter, like,
I remember. I know the story. So,
and you fucking sent out the email to like all the kids, like, we're gonna have a daddy and son practice, and you guys can remember all come this.
So check this out. This is great.
I love that.
Oh, dude, I killed it. So my first gym, you know, we had one roll-up garage, and then right when you open up the garage, there were sleds and prowlers and tires. And dads used to kind of like lean on the tires and just watch their kids. And then after you're in the gym, you're outside doing sled work and the dads are right there. And dads would be like yelling at their kids, cheering them on, you know, all this coaching. And back then I did a physical print newsletter for the gym members. And I didn't have an email newsletter. So I was, and this is, you know, pre-2010. So I was saying parents cannot coach. They shouldn't be on the sidelines. Like, let your kid train. You know, I've seen dads tell their kids to go heavier, then the exercise goes bad. And so the same dad was like, not listening. In fact, I remember when I sent it out, I was like, you know, it is a liability to have parents on the floor. So the dad that I'm addressing this to, emails me and he's like, man, I saw that newsletter. He's like, somebody must have done something stupid. And I wanted to say, yeah, it's you, you dumb fuck. It's you, you fucking idiot. You're so dumb. You don't even know. You're like running your mouth all the time. So then the next one, the guy is still like hovering around the gym, hovering like inside, staring at his son all the time. And then it's uncomfortable for all the other kids. Like everybody's having fun, kicking ass. It's like crushing it. But the one kid can't have fun because his dad is staring and staring. And so I sent out a newsletter and it was like, now offering daddy and me classes. So it was like, now dads, you can come to the gym. You could hold hands with your son. When we skip, you will hold hands. Like, I made it this like embarrassing thing. And then finally all the dads were like off, because I want it to legitimately be like Fight Club, like shut the doors, become your alter ego, go all in, let nobody judge you, minus we judge each other, meaning your parents can't judge you, but we enforce everything. And that was what was interesting about my first location, is if somebody was dogging it, the other guys would be like, that's all right, he don't want it. Or they'd call him like, you punked out, just like your training partner. What was his name? DB. Everybody had this, like if somebody was not doing, they'd be like, come on, you want to fucking win. They would take somebody outside and they'd be like, you don't fucking, they'd be like, you're not allowed back in until you do that. I remember somebody was fucking around. They're like, put this sandbag on your back, run around that other gym like 5 times, then you could come in. It was sick. Yeah, everybody pushed each other and everybody like elevated one's performance. And you would be like, fuck man, 4:00 Anthony's always there. I don't want to even be around Anthony because he's going to make me squat heavy. So then they try dodging. And then at 5:00, some other crazy kid is like, every kid kind of had their own unique personality. And so like, one kid, Ray, now he's not a kid, Ray Jazz, he's a pro wrestler. But at the end of a training session, near the end, Ray would start like putting equipment in like a circuit, and then he'd get the stopwatch and wrap it around his hand, and he'd start grabbing kids. He'd be like, whoa, where are you going? And he'd be like doing things for 30 seconds. So he's training, but looking at the clock. And then you'd start seeing kids trying to leave. He'd be like, Anthony, no, 15 minutes. And he would do crazy shit. It would be like 30 seconds of pull-ups. Then somebody's doing curls and push-ups and abs. Then at the end, it's like, all right, we're going to all hold sandbags for 6 minutes. And I'm like, 6 minutes? That's fucking boring. Like, do something else. And Ray's like, no, we're going to get fucking tough. And guys are like bear hugging shit, bear hugging sandbags, holding it on their backs. But everybody pushed each other. We had a tire, 600 plus pounds, no tread. Get your hand under it. It's like you're scraping your hand on the cement. There was kids that were like 130, 140 pounds flipping that tire. Kids were different. That's the bottom line. And so lately, I've kind of been getting back to my roots. I have a kid that comes to my high school late because in our area, there's these like specialty schools you could go to, but then you could come to the public school you were supposed to go to for the sport. So he comes late because of the bus and this and that. So he comes in, I'm like 10 squat jumps, 10 push-ups, max pull-ups, 3 rounds. Okay. Now you're going to bench press for 5, run outside, tire flip for 5, 10 minutes. Like, I don't care. Is this perfect? Is this? All right. Now you're going to squat for whatever, 10 reps. Okay. That's easy. Add 5 pounds. Keep going. You're going to change the weight, go again, change the weight, go again, versus 3 minutes. You have to rest 3 minutes. You need to correct, your ATP has to be restored. Like, no, work and attack. And I'm like, all right, it's over. I got to go. Okay. But it's not over for you. Do 5 hill sprints and like flip the tire 10 more times. So I just started making kids work. And we really are getting away from that work aspect because everything is so perfect. And, you mentioned Louis saying, hey, you're doing 3s. What about 5s? And so Louis's early literature was like 12 by 2. But then you'd come across him and you'd hear him. He'd be saying they do speed work on the bench for 8 sets of 8. Well, that's a big difference from 10 sets of 2. We're doing now 64 reps instead of 20 reps. And then I just started realizing he's just working people.
Yeah.
Everybody's just working.
Yeah.
And so that's what that's what these like prison Thursdays are for. It's like breaking the rules, high volume, get tough. And I know all the science guys don't want to hear that get tough thing, oh, you only care about sweating. No, we sprint, we jump, we're testing. I'm seeing their improvements. They're getting more confident. I'm building a team. They're building pain tolerance. They're getting tough. Tell me how that doesn't help a lacrosse player, hockey player, football player, all that shit. See, when it's perfect, what happens when the shit hits the fan in a game? For example, you know how you guys talk shit to each other? Dude, I've gone to football games and they're screaming. They're like, yeah, I'll date your girlfriend tonight. They don't say it like that. They say worse shit. The opposing, crowd is like screaming and cursing at our guys. What are you going to do? You're going to break when they're like degrading your family? Or you're going to be like, oh, okay, let's fucking do this.
Yeah.
And that's why the gym, the weight room needs to become its own, your own world where there are no limits and things that are said can be said, and you can rip out throats and hearts. It has to be that way.
Well, also I think that like there's like the pocket protector people, which is like the nerds, where it's like, I have to assess the perfect amount of volume per, and all this stuff. And I get it. And I think that at times there's a place for that. But people have asked me before, like, how do you sort of like dictate the volume for your powerlifters or your athletes? And it's like, I've seen enough people and enough lifters to look at, like in your gym, like you could look at a kid and be like,
coach's eye.
All right, what's going on with you? Like you're either overtrained or like you don't say the overtrained thing to them, but it's like, how much sleep are you getting? What are you eating for food? What's going on at home?
Yep.
Like,
boom, boom, boom.
Like what is happening in your life that you, a 16-year-old, don't know enough to tell me? You know what I'm saying? Like what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, if you're eating right, you're sleeping right, your stress levels are right, and you're still kind of like shaky underweight, now you might be a little overtrained. But let's check those other boxes first. And it's like, how do I assess the volume? I fucking look at it and say, like, is that a normal workout? Like, could I do that workout? Is that similar to a workout that I did to get strong?
Yeah.
Is that like, I'm not going to sit there and fucking, I've had kids ask me like, how many steps with the sled with how much weight, like how much horizontal volume? I'm like, shut up about the horizontal volume.
Shut your pie hole.
Yeah. Just shut up. Just like, shut up. Put 3 plates on, drag the fucking sled until it starts to get slow, stop, catch your breath, drag it more.
Boom,
like, you know what I mean?
Again. Work,
it's like,
go again.
Yeah, go again. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like Dave Hoff used to look at me and that this motherfucker's been breaking world records for 10 years. He's been training at a high level for fucking 17 years. He's
crazy.
Benches 1,000 pounds, this fucking guy. So, and I'd look at him and we'd be training and we'd be doing like rollbacks or something or whatever. And I'd be like, how many are we doing? And he would just be like, till it burns.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Strongest man in the world of history, and just not being like, oh, it has to be perfect. And I what you're saying is this coach's eye and experience. You've seen so much. You've seen the easy, the middle, the hard, what might be too much. And same thing. I said to a kid today, I go, dude, you're not building muscle. You're not getting better. Tell me what you had for breakfast today. He's like, 2 eggs. I go, dude, my dog ate 2 eggs today. I go, you want to know what kind of dog I have? A teacup Yorkie. It's like 4 pounds. I go, is that what you want to be, a teacup Yorkie, or you want to be a fucking Doberman? I go, you're going to do your 2 eggs. You're going to get it on 2 pieces of toast. You're going to put 2 pieces of cheese on it. Then you're going to have 2 glasses of chocolate milk. You got to start changing things. Tell me what you ate for lunch. And boom, I knew it. 1 sandwich. What do I always tell you? 2 sandwiches, go buy milk. What'd you eat before we train? Nothing. I always tell you, bring another sandwich. And like, I could see it a mile away if somebody's not following through, or you're not moving fast. Okay, sneak in, jump rope for speed, 50 reps at a clip every 5 minutes. You're going to get faster. You're not fast when we're done, or, to start. This group is, let's say I see a group training and it's like a group of kids that I feel are not fast or need more coordination. I incorporate sprints into the warm-up, segues into sprinting, or jumping plus sprinting from different positions. That's speed work. I'm looking at what you need and building it versus saying, here's where I'm locked in. But listen, man, we've been going almost 2, hour and 30 minutes. We will definitely do a part 2. I could fucking do this all day.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I gotta find a way to come up to New Hampshire. Let's share with people. And of course, in the show notes, I'm going to link up your Instagram. So I know I follow Trigger Warning Conjugate.
Yes, sir. So yeah. So can I do the rundown? Can I promote
do the whole thing, bro? Yeah.
Yeah. So Trigger _warning _ is my like online. I do everything on there. Like, I try to do mindset stuff. I also do like technical, like practical shit where it's like, here's a bunch of tricep things you can do with a dumbbell, like that sort of shit.
Those videos are awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, like they've been doing very well. And then also at the top of that page, I have Trigger Warning Conjugate bench builders, deadlift builders, squat builders that are like saved videos of like a bunch of shit. And I do workout Wednesdays. There's probably over 100 free workouts right there. So there's a bunch of shit you can do. So like, anyone who says they can't afford coaching or whatever, you're full of shit. There's enough stuff on my Instagram that'll fucking help you out for a really long time. You have no excuses. You're just being a pussy.
We went really explicit on this podcast. I love it.
So twcstayhated.com is where you can get apparel. And
I'm
then
wearing mine.
Yeah. So, t-shirts,
not
hats,
the sweatshirt. I have a great t-shirt that I bought from you. It's the Death is Certain t-shirt.
Yes.
It's fucking beast.
My good friend, who actually, he's the guy who like tattooed my head and did all the stuff for the gym and everything. He's rad. His name's Kurt Everett. He did all those designs. My personal page is just Anthony CW13, and that's just basically my training stuff and pictures of my dog and my wife and all that, my dogs, and then who I'm obsessed with. And then the gym page is Anchor Athletics NH. And we're basically an athletic training gym. We have we have 3 monoliths, 3 deadlift platforms, 3 benches, 2 power racks. We have woodways, we have sleds, kegs, fucking stones.
What's the area of New Hampshire you're in?
Concord, New Hampshire. So we're about,
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's the state capital. We're about an hour from the beach and an hour from the mountains. We're like right in the middle.
Beautiful.
And yeah, dude, we do $10 drop-ins if people want to come in and just train.
That's nothing.
We tried to make that like really affordable. And then we do stuff for athletes, powerlifters, gen pop, all that shit. So there's nothing that we don't have access to in the gym that you would need to listen, man. I'm an 1,100 pound squatter. My wife has squatted 700 and benched 429. Like, we wouldn't be in a gym that didn't have everything you fucking needed.
Yeah.
So we're super proud of it. And dude, like, I can't say it enough how much of an inspiration you've been throughout my career in this industry, of being someone who like clearly didn't give a fuck what the trend or what other people were thinking. You've always kept it like 100% authentic. And I just really fuck with that, dude. Like, you've never gone like the soft route. It's always been like, there's all these people like, the David Goggins and all those people like stay hard motherfuckers and all this. And they've only been in the spotlight for a few years. But like, man, I've been watching you put content out about being a bad motherfucker for like, it's almost 10 fucking years, dude. of this shit. And so like, you know, I just hope that anyone who's listening to this from like my side of things that didn't know who you were, like, I hope they fuck with you, because like you're legit, dude. And that's me kissing your ass, but that's
yeah. Listen, there's certainly been times where I've like maybe lost my way a little bit, but I always feel best when it's like comes back down to you know, control. What do you control? I tell everybody your effort and your attitude, right? Yes. Be a good person, be a nice person, and be a worker. Like, man, yesterday was Monday. I was at the gym and I got a guy that he's kind of interning, but he's very busy. He's a D1 football player in the area. And so he came in and helped coach one group. And I said to him, yo, you got to be louder than the stereo. Okay. Then I had just finished coaching at the high school. Then I'm coaching. He's like, dude, you could control this whole place. You could command the room. He's like, and you're doing a lot. Because I had to go home for a phone call last night. He's like trying to figure out how I do it. And I'm thinking to myself, because I'm a fucking worker. And you have to have this, you got to be tough. I hate that word. I don't want to say I hate the word mental toughness, but you need that grit. You need to be like, I don't care how tired I am. Okay. I'm running this gym. I'm taking pride in it. You know, we were talking about cleaning. You know, yesterday there was chalk in areas and shit. I mopped it up. I organized stuff to make sure that the coach that came on today, I could like look at my gym and be like, yo, this is a place of work, but it's clean. I'm taking care of it. It just looks pro. And,
it's a decision, dude. It's a decision to be that way. I have a sticky that's gone through. It's a little sticky note, little label that I've had. I actually took a picture of it the other day. That's made it from, it's like 4 or 5 different moves that we've had that I've kept that just says, be better than yesterday.
Perfect. That's it.
Period. The fucking end, dude. And if you do that, and if you actively do that, everything else just falls into place, buddy. Like that's just, it's like I have that one, and then I have another one that I stuck on the back of my door when I was having a hard time when we just moved and I lost a bunch of weight, and it just said, decide to be better. And it's like, once you do that, it's like you're fucking unstoppable.
Yeah. Draw a line in the sand, dude. Right. This was fucking awesome. And I get really hyped up seeing your stuff, because I also feel you're just keeping it real. And also you forgot to mention, I love your vlogs, you know, like you on your YouTube, dude. I don't really follow that kind of stuff anymore, but it's just cool watching you eat. You just share your feelings. Then you're playing some golf. Then you're, you know, cleaning the gym, and you're just sharing, you know, yourself building a life. And I think it takes a lot of guts to just keep going for it and putting it out there. And I was so inspired when I saw that you bought Brian's gym. I had spoken to Brian some months prior as he was talking to me about moving and finding a school for his son to wrestle at and buying gym equipment. Then I found out you bought his gym. I was like, oh my God, it's fucking perfect. It's awesome. Yeah. And so I'm really excited to see what you're able to do with it. And also I know you had this really successful powerlifting meet that you hosted with all these sponsors. And it's like, I love it. You're just making it work with what you love to do. And that the world needs that. The world needs to see people doing that. It's inspiring to see people creating a life out of the very thing they love. And I think it's amazing, dude. So congratulations. Like, just keep stay the course. Congrats to you and your wife. It's like exciting times. Summertime is, almost here. It's going to be even better. You're like, it's great.
All the college kids are coming home, bro. It's starting to get wild in the gym, and it's very energizing.
Oh yeah. And it certainly could be tiring. The end of the night, you're like, woo, I coached my face off. And then, here we are doing this, right? It's 9:15 at night. This is what it takes. We have to get this podcast done. We're both busy. We're doing it at night. And you have to find a way to get it done. You could come. I have another podcast tomorrow morning at like 7:30. You know, I said, that's it. I'm going to make them happen. I'm going to make it happen. So we're going to shut it down. I want to, you know, thank you for hopping on and us doing this together. Your podcast is called the Stay Hated Podcast.
Yeah, it's the TWC Stay Hated Podcast. I have 135 episodes.
It's great.
That are open to the public. And I've had everyone on, from you and to Dave Hoff, to musicians, to anybody who, I had a guy who runs a fucking the place where they go grow grapes for wine, because he's like super passionate about it. And so yeah, anything. And I want to thank you.
Listen to that. I got to dig into that one. That's probably really a fucking awesome one.
It's very cool. Yeah, man. And thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. And
yes.
I'd love to, we'll do a part 2 to break the internet again.
For sure. So I will send you tomorrow the video and audio. You could use them as you wish. And I'm going to shut it down. So boom, Anthony, thanks so much. Have a great night. Thanks to everybody listening. And for people listening, watching, you look, share it out, leave reviews. The way you support guys like us is the shirts that we sell, the online programming. For me, go to zachstrength.com. That's the newsletter. That way you're not missing stuff. And man, I think I'm at like, I don't post too much to YouTube. I got to really get the quality up. But I've been posting a lot inside like undergroundstrengthcoach.com, stuff like that. And that's it, man. Going to shut it down. I'm going to eat a late dinner, 9:20 at night.
Hell yeah.
Boom. Anthony, have a great night. This was fucking awesome. And I will talk to you soon. Good night, everybody. Later, my bro. Bye, buddy.